This is Rock Leach with Social Fire. Now, family, we're going to look at this indictment. And what I want to warn you, want to kind of share with you, because we're going to get into the details of it. What's inside of this indictment is shocking. It's appalling. I couldn't believe some of the things that I was reading. And this is sad to know that people can be a part of a ministry and be done so horrible. And so I don't want to just skim through the headlines. We're going to break it down, and because we got so much to give you. I'm not going to do an introduction. We're getting straight into it because I want to help you to understand what's really going on here. So what we want to do is we're going to talk about this indictment from a structure standpoint, just because I'm going to read through it and different things like that. But I want to make sure that you understand several things before we get into it totally. First off, it's not a blog post or a rumor. This is a federal indictment. So what that means is a grand jury has signed off saying we have enough evidence to bring this to trial. So the layout is simple. What they do is it gives you the background, it lists the charges, and then details exactly how they pulled it off. You're going to see that in here as well. And inside of indictments, one of the things that's very important is that language matters. The language of the indictment matters. You're going to notice wording, over and over. You're going to see things like knowingly and willfully. You'll see these in this indictment. That's legal language for this wasn't an accident. This was intentional. Now, usually when prosecutors write it that way, they're locking in the idea of intent, because fraud isn't just about mistakes. It's about lying on purpose. And they want to make sure that is driven home. And so, we're going to look, they look at different ways when it comes to these fraudulent things. They're going to look at how and describe how the money flows. Shell companies, you'll see that, donations rerouted, lavish spending. This isn't just about sloppy bookkeeping. This is a paper trail designed to hide the truth. And when the feds can follow the money from donor pockets to luxury lifestyle, that's game over in court. Just going to put that out there. And so because I am Social Fire, I have an obligation to show you the cult-like background of it, what's really going on here that's cult-like, because they went under the banner of a Christian ministry, and he called himself an apostle, so we do have to talk about that as well, hoping I can get all that in one video, and I don't want this video to be too long. So here's where it gets real disturbing. The indictment doesn't just talk about money, it talks about how people were treated. I want y'all to understand. It didn't just talk about money. It talked about how people were treated. Members working like servants, threats that if they questioned the leader, they'd be cursed by God. That's not ministry. That's manipulation. That's cult behavior. And I have to get into that right there. Now, there were also the obstructions and the cover-ups that we're going to get to inside of this indictment. Burner phones, shredded documents, fake accounts. They did it all. I mean, they was on the whole thing. That's not just fraud, that's obstruction. And sometimes the cover-up is what lands people in prison even faster. That'll land you in prison even faster than the original crime, trying to cover it up. And so, you're going to see different things about patterns across different cases. And if you think this is an isolated thing, it's not. We've seen it before. Jim Baker back in the 80s, the recent FBI raids on other so-called apostles. It's a pattern: money, manipulation, and cover-ups, packed as ministry. And we want to get into all of those things, even the victim impact, because I'm going to start showing you this video right here, how a lady helped her friend escape, and talks about that as well. And so we can't miss the human side. This isn't just about mansions and cars. It's about people who were given, who wanted to be a part of the faith, who gave in faith, only to be exploited. People who were spiritually abused, financially drained, and left broken. And so when you see this indictment, don't just see it as a legal document. See it as what it is: a mirror exposing wolves in sheep clothing. And like 1 Peter 4:17 says, we got to remember that judgment begins in the house of God. So let's go ahead and get into this right here. I'm going to start with this short video right here to show you this. Then we're going to get into the indictment because I want to show you how somebody helped their friend escape, and then talked about the details of that. Well, let's go.
Investigators also describe unpaid armor bearers, basically personal attendants, were subjected to abuse and threats of divine judgment. So since 2014, officials say the group took in about $50 million a year.
Wow.
Survivors, including a woman who helped her friend escape, hope these arrests bring justice.
She basically said that they starved her, they mentally and psychologically abused her. They used scripture and hell to condemn her. It was almost like a loyalty program. You know, they had to defend the top person and their ministry.
And that is terrible. That is absolutely terrible. These things that have happened here. So let's go down to this indictment. We want to get in this indictment, and I'm going to start right here, where it talks about the manner and the means of the conspiracy. The manner and the means of the conspiracy. Now, it's a lot that's going on, but we want to get into this. And what I started right here because I want to show you how they're going to hereafter refer to collectively as victims. The defendants control practically every aspect of daily living of the call center workers and armor bearers. Now, they're going to call the call center workers and the armor bearers victims moving forward. And it's a lot of things that are going on here. So Taylor created rules to control victims, and Brannon enforced them. So that's going to be the structure of how they did things, enforce these rules. Brannon enforced the rules. Taylor and Brannon. So we're going to actually see text messages that were sent and how they did this. So Taylor and Brannon demanded the victims cut off family. That's usually what's going to start, the isolation from family, because it's going to be family that tell you, yo, that shouldn't be going on. That's not Bible. It's going to be the family members, the ones who you love, that's going to really share with you. And that's one of the ways that they do that, is they like to isolate you. These cults do. David and Brannon demanded the victims cut off any family or friends that questioned Taylor or the righteousness of the ministry. So looking here, Taylor and Brannon demanded that full-time staff give up any outside employment. Quit your job. Quit your job that's actually paying you so you can come here and work for free and be sleep deprived. And it's going on. Victims slept in the call center facility or in the ministry house. Terrible. Call centers and ministry properties were located in the following addresses, and they've got that down here. This is a lot for a cult, but they were well organized with this foolishness. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, 9 different properties. Taylor and Brannon prohibited dating within the ministry, and so they exercise strict control over the victims' personal lives, and that's usually what happens in cults. And y'all will say this is a cult. They don't do that at my church, but any church that controls you. I'm even talking about dominating your time with church. They got so many church services going on, and get bothered when you don't show up at something. That's cult mentality right there. You should be able to be with your family. I'm just saying, trying to isolate you. Then when your family get to question them, they got the devil in them. That's not right. All right, Taylor and Brannon demanded that victims apply, and this gets real dirty right here, real grimy. All of it is horrible, but this is appalling right here. They demanded that victims, I do want to put emphasis on that right there. They demanded that victims apply for government-funded electric benefit transfer, which is EBT card, claiming to be homeless, and give the card to Taylor or Brannon or the ministry staff members who reported to Taylor and Brannon. Now, y'all, when I say things are absolutely terrible here, it's an understatement, because none of this should have happened. This is all really, really bad. You got people out here who really need these benefits, and you got people like this who are manipulating the whole system and everything from people who actually need it. Not only people who actually need it, but people who can't live without it. I mean, basically, I know I just basically said the same thing, but that's because it's so appalling. And then the people who actually need it in the ministry, if they there and they actually need it, because y'all not feeding them, you know, this is all terrible. So Taylor and Brennan used the EBT government funds to purchase food for the ministry staff. The government money obtained and spent by Taylor and Brennan included funds from Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP, formerly known as the Food Stamp Program, which is a federal program that provides y'all. This is the devil. This is, when I say this is terrible, this is horrible. You know, this is horrible. Get you to apply. We're gonna demand, one of the requirements, you got to go apply for food stamps. Tell them you're homeless, and whatever they give you, you give that to us. We gonna do you just go on and go keep working and be sleep deprived. This is how horrible this was. This is just one of the many things. I can't go over all of them, but I want you to see how demonic this is. To get somebody, isolate them from their family, which is what most cults do. They're going to isolate you from your family. Anybody that speaks ill against the ministry, they're going to say you need to be away from them. Anybody that speaks ill of the pastor. Now, I don't understand why pastors, anybody, prophets, anybody think that you can do this without anybody saying something about you. People gonna talk about you. That's a part of it. Biblically, they talked about Jesus. That's what it is. That comes with the job. That comes with the job. But we want to isolate you. You don't see any time in the Bible where Jesus told the disciples, stay away from you. He said, follow me. But he didn't say stay away from your family. They the devil and all that kind of stuff. You know, this is foolishness, y'all. Isolation. They do that to silence your critical thinking, pulling you away, then demanding, controlling every area of life, feeding themselves so they are fattened while you're dying. That is terrible. Let's go on. I mean, taking the benefits. I just think that is one of the most egregious things that I see on here, because they're taking it from people who actually do need this assistance. I'm talking about the people on the outside the ministry that actually need this assistance. Let's not even get into the taxpayer dollars. And you got all this thing that's going on here. Let's move forward. Taylor established working groups within the ministry, such as Facebook team, a finance team, a call center team, and a music team. However, almost all victims were expected to participate in the call center in some capacity to assist in bringing in monetary donations. All right. Taylor used a Facebook team, which sent mass messages to encourage people to call the call center. I used to see some of those messages on Facebook because I'm on there as well. Not the messages, but his flyers and stuff. And I would even comment and like, why are people still following this guy? I would literally comment and say that we've been knowing that this guy is out of order. To encourage donations, Taylor and Brennan instructed the victims to falsely state that the donations and funds would be spent in charitable works. And that's terrible, but that's what was going on. Such as providing water wells for impoverished communities overseas or supporting victims of human trafficking. Another thing that is very egregious here is this right here. You're talking about that people are supporting victims of human trafficking, all while the person that they are talking to is being human trafficked. I'm just saying. You see how the devil is there? That is demonic on a whole nother level, you all. That's demonic on a whole nother level. You're telling people that you are supporting victims of human trafficking all while doing it. The person they talking to on that phone at that moment is somebody, the person convincing them that the money is going to be used to support victims of human trafficking is themselves a victim of human trafficking. I'm just saying, that's terrible. But let's move on. All right. Taylor sets unattainable monetary daily, weekly, monthly, and yearly donation goals for his victims. Taylor and Brannon regularly punished the victims who did not meet the required monetary donation quota for the day. It goes on. Taylor and Brannon required the victims to work long hours without pay. I wonder if they say how many hours or whatever, without pay in the call center or perform other services for Taylor. Goes on to say Taylor required victims to follow the orders he created and communicated. If victims disobeyed an order, Taylor and Brannon would punish the victims. Defendants regularly conducted meetings with large groups of members to rebuke the publicly humiliated. I'm sorry, and publicly humiliate the victims who disobeyed. Rebuking of a victim included yelling and humiliation, sometimes requiring the victim to get on their knees in an attitude of repentance. Physical assaults and threats of further physical violence. I don't. They had to really be messed up or manipulated and really put in a bad place in their mind, because Taylor couldn't have talked to me in my right mind like that. I'm just saying. I don't know. He probably couldn't have talked to most of them folk in their right mind like that. That had to be. Anyway, I think y'all know what I'm talking about. This is crazy. Ranged from several minutes to several hours. Punishments included additional work, food restrictions, shelter restrictions, psychological abuse. That's what I'm saying. It had to be so much psychological abuse going on for these people to take this. Psychological abuse, sleep deprivation, physical assault. They was putting hands on the folk. Physical assaults, and I wish I could get more details about what kind of physical assaults. And threats of spiritual damnation. Taylor and Brannon frequently communicated orders and punishments via text messages. Now we finna get into the text messages right here. The text messages received by victims include the following messages. Now I want y'all to look at this. On October the 6th, 2020 at 5:31 a.m., Brannon sent a text message to several members of the media team, including V3, stating, "Media team, no going to sleep until the mosaic video is done." On May 5th, here's another one. Text to DG, his current armor bearer, tasked with communicating his orders to the staff, whose identity is known to the grand jury. You'll have to raise $164,000 today, $1,000 today. Each hour you fall behind, consequences will start. We will mess with the food. You will fast from the regular food or abstain for a while normally. As of now, there are 21-day peanut butter and jelly regiment like before. 21-day peanut butter and jelly regimen. Okay. Those who do not push in their calls individually and as a team with the right amount of people and closing numbers at 6 p.m., they don't eat dinner at all. This is a long text message about this foolishness. If they do good afterward this time, then at the end of the night, they may get a snack before bed. They're treating them like kids. This regimen will go on every day for 21 days until they obey. Take the food. There will be other consequences. We must make them fast and pray. This is crazy. This is crazy. This kind of stuff going on. Those in the top 9 that don't do well will stay up and close and stay on top of the delinquents. So you're putting people against each other. Those that do well, we're going to put over the other ones. Put the pressure on them not having their time off, nor food. They will fast. This is the foolishness. Michelle, the top 9 closers. How is it in 5 hours you'll have only raised $6,000. This is a marathon in all caps. You're not taking it serious enough. I'm reading this, but it's not making sense. This has to stop. Nobody gets lunch or dinner. So yeah, so this is just some of the things here. I don't want to read every last one of them because there's a lot of them here. All right, text victims Michelle and Kim, make them all stand and tell them if the punishment of 4 p.m. don't work, I'm going to worser and worser. He was a tyrant. He was a tyrant over these people that had been psychologically abused to be in this. Because most of us in our right mind are going to look at this and be like, I wish you would take my sleep. Listen, for me, sleep is one of the most important things to me. I got to get my rest. I'm sorry. Something that is taking me away from my sleep is something that I am going to cease doing. I'm just going to be honest with you. And for him to have this kind of control, suggests to us and lets us know that there's a lot of psychological abuse that was going on here. Listen to this. Pour water on everyone's face that's halfway sleeping and not working. Wake them up now. My next level of judgment tomorrow is that it won't be to just 4 a.m. It will be every hour you waste in the day will be added on past 4 a.m. Sorry, I said 4 a.m. The first one is 4 a.m. It will be added every hour you waste in a day will be added on past 4 a.m. Tell them all to stand now and you throw water on their faces. Y'all see this? Do y'all see this right here? This this guy here was terrible. This guy here was terrible. Stand down and throw water on their faces. People were doing so. He was using the best ones against the other ones, sending these text messages. Michelle, who was the other one in the lawsuit, the other defendant, would go and enforce these things, using others against others. And y'all, some of this at this high level don't go on in your church. Some of it don't go on in your ministries. But there are shadows and types of it that goes on in some people's ministries that they don't see. Some people want to be so close to the pastor, these celebrity pastors, that they telling folk business, they gossiping, they out here doing all kind of things because they want to be close. This is no different. This is no different. Why sister such and such not coming to church? Well, she got a new man. And then the pastor get up on Sunday. Some of y'all forgetting God. Y'all putting y'all man before God. This kind of foolishness. Now that person incurred favor. And then the pastor's all of a sudden getting some kind of prophetic word over some gossip that he received. That's the same thing, y'all. It's just on a different level. That's the same thing. We're dealing with that same kind of stuff in church. That's what's going on. That's what's going on. Stand up and put water on these folks. And okay. All right. Let me move on. All right. Because I got to keep you going here. All right. Yeah, he's more of depriving their sleep. You'll be working until 4 a.m. I'm not getting up to 8 a.m. And just keep. Then now I don't care if you're tired. Y'all, look at this. Look at this. I don't care if you're tired. I don't care if you're tired. Look at this. This is terrible. I don't care if you're tired. That's what you need to see right there. This man does not care about these folk. Y'all got to quit being with these pastors and these people that's doing you like that. Don't even care. All right. Use a group text chat called Military Boot Camp 5 Taylor to communicate with victims, including, now I don't know who the V2 in the group Chad Taylor and Brennan sent the following messages among others. Okay, let's see this military boot camp. All right, text to the. You're not going to bed tonight until you reach $33,000. Let's go. This guy here. Text to the group include point blank. If you don't work, you can't eat. This, y'all, this is crazy. This kind of stuff here. If you don't work, you can't eat. This is what we're being told to these folk. Let's keep going. Let's keep going. I'm trying to get through most of this if I can. Okay. Taylor, text to the group including repent now ends. This is terrible. Because I'm quite sure most of these okay. You know you ignorant when you saying this to multiracial people. You call it putting okay. Y'all. This man using the N-word to these to these folk, and we got to call that out. All of a sudden, I got a strong feeling of this. I mean, how sad this is. But this is bad. He don't care. All right, let's keep it moving. All right, this is terrible. All right, it says you push God and I too far. I'm done. Everybody go to the Tampa garage tonight. This will never stop until you change completely. He didn't spell that right. This is from his messages. Clearly he don't. You with God, and you can't spell. All right, let's move. I'm just saying you. It's kind of contradictive for you to say you have pushed God and I too far, but you down here and can't even spell. I'm gonna call this out right here. This is what you texting folk, and then you putting yourself with God, but you can't spell. All right, let's keep it moving. All right. Warning to whole staff. It's not too expensive for us to provide for the amount of people who won't learn to close. So if I'm only buying enough for a few at this point who have applied the training and have learned to close. What? Maybe I'm reading that wrong. And some of this, okay, so we just gonna keep moving because some of the stuff with the text messages or whatever. If you don't work effectively and learn closing like we told you, then you won't eat. All right, just more of the same things. Warning. Then he's back to the threats. Warning from Apostle. Michelle, deal out consequences to all closers that are not bringing in their amount. Garage in Tampa and take away food now. Yeah. Just more of the same thing. Using spiritual terms, judgment. These numbers are bad. 7 of my closers need to go in the garage in Tampa now. All the food is taken away. Yeah, this is terrible, y'all. All kind of manipulation. I want cold water thrown on those who drag and won't get up. A big bucket of water. Michelle enforced this. Michelle, and y'all, let me tell you this thing about Michelle. I'm gonna tell you this thing about Michelle. I got to show you this about Michelle right here. All right, Michelle is the co-defendant, have gone to court, and when the judge asked her, "Where is your legal representation?" she brought up 2 private lawyers that she had, but said she couldn't get in touch with them. And the court brought it up too, said the numbers no longer work. This is terrible. Even she is stuck out. Even she in court right now, being with this man, and she's stuck out. I believe, I'm going to be honest with you, I believe this is going to be even worse. We're seeing this indictment, but I believe, because what's happening now is David is probably put all resources towards him and his defense. He don't care nothing about this woman. He cared about him. That's who he cared about. All right, let's keep going. All right. So just going here, text from the more of the same thing. More of the same thing. Warning from apostle, warning. You're not eating, put water on them, we taking your food. Sleep deprivation. Due to the amount of work required at lengthy meetings, victims often operated in a state of sleep deprivation. The defendants required the victims to request permission to leave their housing or call centers and controlled their access to transportation. You have to request permission to leave. Defendants rarely permitted victims to seek outside medical attention. That's crazy. Defendants often denied victims medical attention altogether. In some instances, the defendants physically abused victims when Taylor was displeased with the actions or behavior. Now I'm wondering, how were they physically abusing them? It didn't go into those details, but I wonder how. All right. Told victims that if they left, David Taylor and Brannon told victims that if they left the ministry, and I'm calling this the ministry because I'm not going to say that every time, they will be met with divine judgment in the form of physical harm and eternal damnation. Yeah, y'all not serving the same God we serve. All right. Y'all just kind of getting into this, getting into this. There are so many things that have gone on here. And I want to, just wanted to look at some of these things. These things are serious. The manipulation, the different things like that. So different counts here. Yeah, it's a lot that's going on here. And we'll review this again because there's so much that's going on here. All right, so I ultimately want to know what you think about this, because this is terrible. This is terrible, and I just believe more information is going to come out as we look at this. As time goes on, because more victims are going to come forward. More victims, when they know it's safe to come outside, they're gonna come forward, and they're gonna tell us way more things, especially these women who are taking emergency contraceptives. This David Taylor, and y'all, I just don't believe. Yeah, David Taylor, it was just full of the devil. That's all this was, y'all. This should not have happened. This should not have happened, but it did. It did happen, and we've got to call it out. And I'm praying that this is a warning to all other people out there abusing people. I'm praying that you see this as a warning. The Lord is coming for you. Judgment begins in the house of the Lord. And I hope that they are able to see this because this should not have happened. And we have to make sure that this kind of thing does not happen ever again. And, I wanted to go over just a few things here with you before we end the video, because there's so much to look at here. You all, so much to look at here with this. Now, there are scriptures that we can look at that I want to give you. Matthew 7:15. I want to make sure that you all get that, which is, beware of false prophets who come to you in sheep's clothing, but inwardly are ravenous wolves. And I wanted to get to this one right here. 2 Corinthians 11, 13 through 15. I wanted to get to that scripture there because it says, for such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. It says that 2 Corinthians 11, 13 through 15. And it also says, and no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. I believe that scripture right there sums this whole thing up. 2 Corinthians 11, 13 through 15. For such men are false apostles, deceitful workmen, disguising themselves as apostles of Christ. And no wonder, for even Satan disguises himself as an angel of light. This whole thing right here is being exposed, but it's going to be even worse. It's going to get even worse. And we're going to take a look at it as time goes on. But I want to know what you think about it. I want you to meet me in the comments and let's talk about this whole thing. Let's go.
Social fire, we don't play. Rock leech, bringing the heat all day. Faith on fire, no mask, no leash. Fire in his voice, yeah, I rock.
He the voice for the ones that the church forgot. He bring truth to the light, whether liked or not.